Bible tells us to love our neighbors as ourselves. What does that really mean? That means that however you treat yourself is basically what you're going to do for other people. And I have found that so many people are neglecting themselves. Not an intentional neglect, but it's just that they try to take care of everybody else and burn themselves out. And when you're burnt out, you can't give your best. So when the Bible tells us to love our neighbor as ourselves, it means treat them kind, but take care of yourself. Self-care, they talk about all the time. That is important, but it's also important to make sure that you treat people kindly. You treat people the way the Good Samaritan did. Don't tell people if you see they're hungry, I'm gonna come back. I'm gonna pray for you when you can go buy them something to eat, or you can go get them something to eat, or you can make them something to eat. It's a big difference in telling somebody what you could do, especially as Christians. My name is Tanja. I'm here to give you another nugget. It's just my 2 cents for change. So let's talk about how we can take care of other people. You know, the Bible talks about the household of faith and how we got to take care of them. So we should be taking care of our families first, the household of faith, and then everybody else, trickles on out. This day and age, when you say you're taking care of people on the outside, yeah, the house, people do have to learn to be responsible and take care of themselves, but there are things that happen. People fall on hard times, and it's not necessarily things they did wrong. We want to tell homeless people, go get a job, or go get you an apartment, clean yourself up, this kind of stuff. But some people, it's a mental thing. I had somebody that was homeless that I knew of. I didn't know them. He used to be a doctor, but his wife divorced him, took everything, and he just gave up on life. Mental health is real. And so people give up. Doesn't necessarily mean he was a bad person. You look at Job, that's another example. Job didn't do anything wrong. God was just allowing the devil to test him, to show him how faithful he was, how true he was to God. And he passed the test. He lost all of his children, all of his wealth through his cattle and all the animals that he had. He lost it. So who's to say that you can't lose it just because you're doing good now? You got a house, you're making a bunch of money, you're doing things, you're traveling, you got all the name brand stuff. That don't mean you get to mistreat people. That don't mean you get to toot your nose down on them because if they buy you a gift and it's not a name brand something, you stick your nose like, how dare you? That's so rude. It's thoughtful first and foremost that a person did give that to you and they don't have it like you. We're supposed to help each other up, build each other up, help each other out of whatever rut they're in, and then we go from there. And we can still pray for them, but the basic necessities are something that we can help, are things that we can help them with. And let's do that. We have to be kind. Everybody's personality is not the best, but that doesn't change who we are. If we're good people, we're going to treat them right. I was on a job one time, and this guy, I don't know what it was about him, but not saying he's a bad person, but he just would do things and he would lie, and he lying. And so, but he needed some time off and he didn't have a lot of time on the books. So we worked it out so he could get that time off. We made sure that he could get that time off. And so had I looked at the personality and tried to figure that out, then maybe I wouldn't have been able to do that. That's not how you manage people. You treat people the way you would treat your best person, people that you love the most. That's what you do. If you go out your way to sacrifice for people that you love, then you do the same thing for the other people. The Bible didn't tell you to distinguish between the two. He didn't tell you to do that. You're supposed to treat everybody right. You're supposed to imitate Christ. You're supposed to show people the love of Christ. You're supposed to show them kindness. You're supposed to have empathy. The disciples didn't want to feed those people when he sat down with those 5,000 men outside of women and children. They was like, man, come on, we ain't got no food. Let's go, Jesus. And he's like, no, they've been out here. Let's go ahead and feed them. I'm paraphrasing the words and stuff. But he fed them, and it stretched. He blessed the food, and it stretched, and it fed them. That's because he realized those people were hungry. So when you see a homeless person, don't just toot your nose up. Don't look at people differently because they can't do what you do. You just continue to be you. As time goes on, God can bless you and you might be able to do a little more later. But it's not about what you do in the moment of material things. It's making sure the basic necessities are met. That's food. You know, if it's cold and you got a coat, and I'm sure some of y'all, I got a bunch of coats. So I can go give somebody a coat if they're cold. That's not a big deal. So those are the things we have to look for. If you feel like they need a shirt, some shoes, what is it going to cost you? You can't take that money. You trying to pass it on to somebody else. You can't take the money to the grave with you. So instead of telling somebody you praying for them, go buy them a meal. Ask them what would they like. I'm going to go to KFC. What would you like? I'm going to Taco Bell. What would you like? And you give it to them. If you give them a couple of dollars, it ain't your job to worry about what they're doing with it. If they say they're going to get some food with it and you're in a rush and you just giving it to them at the light, then do that. You're giving from your heart. And God's going to bless you because of that. Not what they do with it. They have to answer to God for that. But you never know when your giving will be the impetus that drives them to Christ. Because somebody could have planted that seed already. Somebody could have watered it. And your giving could allow God to give the increase. Because you're imitating Christ. You're showing the love of Christ. The Bible that they will never read sometimes. But sometimes, if you help draw them to Christ, then they will start reading that word and they'll remember that person, something was different about them. So let's not worry about what other people do. Let's worry about what we do. Take care of yourself first. Self-care is important, but making sure others are taken care of, and stop worrying about what other people are doing. You do what Christ is telling you to do. Live life to the fullest and treat people the way you would want other people to treat you, and how you treat other people that you love that's in your life. That's just my 2 cents for change. Hey, however you treat people, that's how you treat yourself. So whether you realize it or not, sometimes we treat ourselves not so well. Just because we're in the hustle and bustle of life and we're not realizing we're missing out and we're not taking time for ourselves, everything is rush, rush, rush. I got to go to work, come home, I got to cook, I got to do this, I got to do this, That's okay. There's some things that you got to do, but sometimes you have to take time for you. Making sure you're rested, because when you're tired, you give out that same kind of energy where you're frustrated and you say things to people that you normally wouldn't say. You snap and you have to go back and say, please forgive me. I was tired. And it's no excuse. So if we just do it on a daily basis, start our day out with the word, start our day out with prayer, and then go about the day realize that these people, how the Bible says, sometimes you entertain angels unaware. You never know who that person is that you're talking to. They might look one way, but don't be fooled. God is looking. He sees everything that you do, everything you say to people. Don't just shove them off and push them off. Treat them right. You have to answer to God for everything you do, but make sure you take care of you. That's the first thing that you have to do in order to be able to treat other people well. If you don't treat yourself well, then that means that's how you're going to treat other people. Until next time, that's just my 2 cents for change. Be blessed. Hit like. Go to our YouTube channel. Subscribe to my 2 cents for change. And on April 7th, we'll be discussing friendships. And we're going to have a special guest, Jacina K. See you later.